of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Activity reports. I will start with Sean's. Katie is not planning his council to meet. Planning's next week. Okay. Sean is in court down in the city, so he's not going to be here. He wrote his activity report, dear council. My apologies for not being able to attend tonight's meeting because it has been a busy couple weeks. I felt it important to provide you with an update. On Tuesday, November 17th, Councilmember Hertzberg and I participated with our city administrator in negotiations with our local ASME union regarding certification differential for the public works employees. I believe these negotiations were successful and you were presented with a memorandum of understanding for your approval tonight. Councilmember Hertzberg and I also attended a meeting with the League of Minnesota Cities in Spicer on Tuesday. It was a great opportunity to meet with representatives from the League to learn more about some new programs they are offering and to network with local communities. One of the new offerings by the League is the Grant Navigator program, which can help pay for some of the upfront expenses such as engineering costs for our grant applications. This is a free program that we should explore further. Finally, on Tuesday night, Tarek and I attended the Stearns County Municipal League meeting. Not much was discussed, but County Attorney Kendall and Sheriff Soika were in attendance and promoted the need for a new justice center. Other entities reported updates on their programs and projects Painesville seems to be on track with, or even ahead of many of our neighbors with the projects we have around town. On Wednesday, I participated in the quarterly safety board meeting. The board is active in ensuring the safety of our employees and the public. From that meeting, TARC will be researching wireless microphones for our council chamber to eliminate the need for wires strung across the floor, as well as panic buttons for our employees who work by themselves in the field. This would help them call for assistance if there was a fall or other emergency and could not use their phone. Lastly, on Wednesday, Tarek, Megan, and I met with representatives from Nature Energy to discuss their ongoing plans to build a refinery within city limits. The CEO of Nature Energy flew in from Denmark to discuss the refinery plan with us and review any concerns that we have. We shared that we were welcoming their business in town. We also shared that we owed our constituents a duty to ensure that things like air quality will not be negatively affected by their operations. They welcomed us on a tour of their Danish facilities in March, which we should discuss in upcoming meetings. Thank you, Jean, for leading the council. Anyway, that's it. And I don't have anything to report because I was out of town for 10 days.
Well, that's your report then.
Yeah, in Arizona. So, Councilmember Hertzberg, you were at some meetings I read.
Well, we had a few. Saturday, January 11th, I went to the annual chamber banquet at Roadside. It was a real good time. A lot of awards were presented to different people. Pretty well attended. Tuesday the 17th, I went with Sean to the LMC meeting at Spicer. All the cities had a spiel what's going on in your town, and we talked about the businesses that are expanding and Nature Energy and all the good things happening. I think we were the most progressive compared to probably Romer. Of course, had more activity. I got a nice little note from Luke from LMC that did the presentation, thanking us for coming, and said that I seem enthused about Painesville, which is quite true. And on Wednesday, I was at the Green Roof Board meeting, and the biggest thing there on, they're very happy with our snow plowing, and a big thank you to you and the boys. And that's about it.
Councilmember Councilmember Rick.
I attended the chamber banquet as well. That was really well attended and pretty interesting, so that was fun to go to. I worked the first liquor store wine club of the year, so that was fairly well attended as well. We're still trying to see how the switch from Thursdays to Tuesdays has gone. And then, as Sean mentioned in his written report, I met with him and Tarek and the CEOs of Nature Energy, so I think we'll have more discussion about that at later meetings.
Yeah, excuse me, I have nothing to report.
All right. Department head reports, Ron.
Great, thank you. First of all, we do have a park board meeting coming up, and the park board is still one member short. So if any resident out there is looking to get on the park board or wants to participate, you are welcome. Get us your name, and we'll see what we can do to get you on there. Remember, first quarter, we are in that process right now where we set our your wastewater rate for the entire year for residents only. Businesses are separate. So if you're looking to get that sewer bill down, the first quarter is the time to conserve. Let's see, water testing results since we put the new media in the filter last spring have been very good. Our rates are iron just a trace, manganese about a 0.03, 0.04. So can't complain about that at all. That's all I have. Again, I was gone for the last week.
Hope it was warmer where you were.
It was.
It wasn't. All right, Tarek.
All right, well, in addition to the meetings that were already mentioned, I attended with Chuck a meeting with Xcel Energy on electric vehicle charging. They are hoping that they get approval for another program that they're doing, which would mean they will cover the entire cost to roll out EV charging stations across the state. And we indicated our high interest in seeing one of them in Paynesville, so that was noted, and if approved, they think our chances are pretty good. Also had a lodging tax meeting, so we discussing as well different types of events that we'd like to come up with and plan for the coming year. And then Stearns County Municipal League, and I also had a chance to visit the Historical Society and have a tour, so that was nice.
Okay. Next, we have our, before we move into our agenda, I was going to mention that we are going to move we have on Zoom a representative from DDA on our wage comparison study. And so we will move that up after the consent agenda.
Yep.
And then if anybody's here for the public forum, if not, we'll move on to the agenda. Okay. Then our consent agenda is minutes from the council meeting December 16th, city council meeting January 9th, council meeting December 27th, public works December 12th, and safety board October 19th, all of 2022 except the first one council meeting. And vouchers totaling $183,833.05. Just need a motion now for the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Neil, by Paul, seconded by Neil. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So. Okay, we will now do the DDA wage comparisons.
Okay, brief introduction here. Mark Goldberg is with DDA Associates. They are the firm that we selected to do the wage study for us. They have quite a bit of experience in many cities around the state of Minnesota. So we felt that they were the right candidate to do the study for us. I will let Mark give a presentation that he has prepared along with some recommendations, and then I will give my recommendations as well. So with all that, I know they can't see you, Mark, but everybody should be able to hear you. Go ahead.
Can you share, can you enable me to share my screen? Is that possible, or you guys aren't seeing the screen well?
Yeah, we're not seeing a screen, but we do have in our agenda packet the presentation that you sent.
Presentation? Then we'll just go through the presentation itself. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. As Tariq said, I'm Mark Goldberg here from DDA. Let me just kind of walk you through a little bit of this presentation, and I'd rather this be a conversation rather than me just talking, so don't feel like you need to wait to the end. If there's something you're like, wait, Mark, can you explain that a little bit more? Please just let me know. So one of the first things we talked about was, where does the city want to be relative to its peers? Do you want to be at market, a little bit above, a little bit below? Most places do want to stay around market. And market, I'll kind of reinforce this in a minute. From a compensation perspective, we talk about market as plus or minus 10%. So you could be 9% above or 8% below. In both cases, we would call that market, because generally the market is considered plus or minus 10%, because that's kind of the range around where everyone who's fully qualified in their job and knows how to do their job is paid for various reasons. It could be performance, could be longevity in their job, could be some additional skill, but plus or minus 10% is considered market. And with you, we talked a lot about, or Tariq and I talked a lot about who you want to compare against. And it's not just who's right around you. That has to be a factor. That really should be the only factor, because what we're finding in Minnesota is that people are willing to move a little bit further now. So it's a question of, who do you lose people to? Where do you recruit people from? What are some cities that may be like you, but they're not near you, but they're similar to you in population size, or they're similar in services that are provided? So we pulled together this list of 19 different cities.
On page 105.
Yep, page 5. Sorry, forgot that you guys can't see it. The list is on page 5.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be quiet for a second and see if there's any concerns around any of the cities that we included in there.
So everybody knows some of the cities that were selected were actually some of the cities that we gave to them from some of the employees here that selected them. So not all the cities were selected by DDA.
So everyone feel it's a good list? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we're looking at this, we're really trying to be careful around things. And Tariq and I talked about a lot about this. We had, how many rows of data do we have here? It was a lot. All the positions, we had somewhere around a little over 200 rows of data. And when we're going through that, we're taking a look at it to see, hey, does anything look off here? We need to have at least 4 or 5 matches for a job, otherwise we can't tell you what the market is for it. Because if there's just 2 or 3, there's not enough there really to draw any conclusions. But what we're going to do is look to see something stand out either high or low. Let's say you've got 10 matches for an accountant job, and 8 of them are between 45 and 55,000, and one of them's at 20,000, and one of them's at 80,000. We'll remove those matches at 20 and 80 and put it in what we call the spotlight section. So it's there, but it's not included in the analysis. But it allows you to at least look at it and say, all right, I know this is really low or really high, but maybe you should put it in there anyway, or all right, we need to keep an eye on this one, but we don't want to have it in the analysis. But we do spend a lot of time kind of going through things. If the data is within 5 percentage points, again, it could be plus or minus 5. That's what we call very, very highly aligned. You get beyond 10%, there could be some misalignment there. The first analysis that we talked about doing was, where are you currently? Using your existing structure, and your structure is there within the packet as well. Within the existing structure, you guys are right now 8% below on the minimums and about 8.5% on the maximums. That is still market competitive. You heard me say plus or minus 10% is market, so you're within market, but you're getting kind of close right now. And with the movement that we're potentially expecting within the market in 2023, if you don't make changes to things, you could find yourself non-competitive in the market. Now, we also talked about making some changes using your existing structure. So there's a couple of positions that we looked at. So, using your existing model, where do things come out? We made a couple of changes and changed the grades on a couple of positions, or 4 positions specifically. It would move you to about 7% below market on the minimums and 7.2 on the maximums. So a little bit better, but you're still kind of getting a little bit towards an area where you may not want to be. So I talked to the city about, hey, let's look at a different salary range. Because I gotta tell you, 20 grades for a city your size, that's a lot. I mean, Mankato has 20 grades. You guys don't need that many. So when I'm talking about these salary ranges for these grades, what we're saying is what's the minimum and what's the maximum the city's willing to pay for the job? And how you determine that? It's what we're looking at here. It's taking a look at the market and what's common in the market for these positions. So, I put together a rough structure. Most times you'll see grades anywhere from 5 to 15% apart. Usually it's a step plan, which you guys have already. 9 to 12 steps is the most common. So I put together a structure with 9 steps for you guys. Grades are about 8 to 10% apart, 11 grades, and the steps are anywhere from 3.75 to 2.5% apart. So what we do is the first couple steps are bigger increases so that people get up to a market competitive rate more quickly. And then towards the top of the structure, 7, 8, 9, it starts slowing down a little bit and you don't have as big of an increase because you're already paying that job an above market wage. Something to think about is you don't have to do this. You could do this immediately or you could do it within the next budget year. That's kind of your discussion around that, but we did do some implementation costs, and I'll show that in a second, but how you want to implement that, that's kind of up to you on that one. Again, slide 13 has the existing structure right now. So 20 grades, 9 steps. And then, I'm sorry, Terry.
Oh, no, we have a different page over here, because we need our back. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And then what I'm proposing is, I see the slide 14 here. I'm not sure what page it is for you guys, but 11 grades, 9 steps. And you can see it starts out 3.75 and then kind of scales down a little bit from there. If you were to put this structure that I'm talking about in place, it would put you about 1.6% above market on the minimums, so highly competitive, but certainly not, well above. And on the maximums, it would be about 3.25%. As I mentioned, being around there, if you do want to stay market competitive, like right at market for the year, that's a good spot to be at. We don't know what's going to happen with structures in this year. No one could have foreseen what was happening last year. But I will tell you that every one of my clients basically upped what they were budgeting for structures and for increases from last year because public sector is just getting hit. A good guess is probably somewhere around a 4% movement in structures, but we don't really know. It could be anywhere from 3.5% to I do places that are doing 5 or 6%. But if you want kind of a median number, about 4%. If you look at like a 4% movement over the course of 2023, something like this would leave you a little bit below market on the minimums, but still, very competitive. And then the maximum would be more or less right on. So what I did was I used your same system that you have right now, the Springstead model. We manage this for a lot of different clients. So that's still in place. I'm not sure what slide it's on for you guys, but I did include, hey, here's where the grades are, here's where we're proposing to change them to, and what that would look like using your existing structure. And I highlighted the 4 jobs, would there be a change in some things?
Yeah, that's page 111.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, for everyone here, it's page 111.
And what it would look like in the proposed new structure. Now, from a cost standpoint, what this would do is there'd be 10 employees who are below the salary range minimum. It would be about $8,400 just to bring them into the salary range. and the overall cost to get everyone onto the next closest step to where they were currently paid would be about $52,000. That is inclusive of that $8,400 that I mentioned, just to get people into the salary range. That model says that moves everyone on January 1st. You do not have to do that, but that's just for simplicity's sake what I did for this. That's a lot of talking on my part. What questions can I address?
Well, I mean, I'll give my recommendation and then I'll let council members ask questions or discuss, but there are two separate items here. One is the employees that they're recommending that they change grade. So since I'm involved in that, I don't want to give my opinion on that. But what Mark was saying about changing the system from 20 grades down to 11 grades, I mean, I think that's a logical idea. I just think that because of the cost involved, it should be a discussion that we have at the budget meeting or maybe the next budget cycle, and not right now. And as you said, the interesting point or the interesting thing about the wage study is it turns out that we are kind of where we should be in terms of wages. We're slightly lower than the average, but as Mark would attest to, is we're not significantly lower than maybe what some people were thinking might be really low. We're actually kind of where we should be. So that, to me, that was good news. So yeah, my recommendation is that we discuss it in the budget meeting. Maybe if we like it, implement it in the next budget cycle, but not right away.
Excuse me, I have a question for Mark. Hey, Mark, this is Paul Thielen, Councilman Paul Thielen. When you get into the market data, one thing that I picked up that is missing is the cost of living for some of the surrounding cities, whether they're close to outer ring suburbs or past that. On some of the names of the cities that are around here, I looked at, I believe, 4 or 5 of our county seats, and some of them are closer towards more of a metropolitan center, where I believe our cost of living in this area, we may want to have a reflection point on there. You see where it's at, even though we're a little bit low right now. I'm wondering if you could include some data on that, where we could have a clear understanding of it.
You know what, I get this question asked a lot, and I do push back on it, honestly, council member, because it's hard to put cost of living information in there. What the data we gather is what is being paid in that city, and that's the cost of labor for that city. So someone could live in Minneapolis and drive down to, drive to Painesville. I mean, you don't know where the people live, so you really don't know what the cost of labor, what the cost of living is. We focus in our work on the cost of labor, so what is the actual pay in that city for those jobs? And that's where we focus on it. Now, if the cities that we're using as comparisons are not appropriate, then that's a key issue that we need to address and change the analysis. But putting a cost of living in there isn't really something that I would recommend or do, because you don't know where people live. And even with that, the focus is what is the actual pay for that job in that city.
I believe the U.S. Census might be able to provide you with some of that information.
They don't do cost of, I'm actually not entirely sure if they do, but it's still a question of, I would not ask you to do cost of living, because cost of living is separate from cost of labor. We focus on what is the actual cost of labor in the cities. Now, they may change, and cost of labor actually usually does go with cost of living, but there is a lag factor there. It usually is a little bit behind, but anytime the cost of labor goes up, cost of living goes up, the cost of labor normally will go with it. But it's normally just a little bit, they're not completely disconnected.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Anybody else have any questions for Mark or comments?
on page 111 or 9, the 8395, is that on the new step and grade plan or on the existing plan?
That's a great question. It is on the new plan, it is not on the existing plan. On the existing plan, you do not have anyone below the range minimum. This is the 8395 you're referencing, sir, is off of the new proposed structure with 11 grades, not the 20 grades that are currently in place.
I have a question to you.
Yeah.
Is it Mark?
Mark?
Yeah.
Mark, I've got a question for you. This is the Chief of Police, Paul Wagner. So I'm looking at this figure, and you say you've got 10 employees. I'm assuming what you're referring to is under the proposed structure that you're giving for the 11 steps, that would be bringing any employee who is currently below that onto the grade at the lowest level. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chief. So the model that we used was, let's say your hourly rate was $40 an hour. And the minimum for the salary range that you're going to be placed in was $41 an hour. We would bring you up to $41 an hour. And that's where we would place. If your salary was $41.05, we would not bring you down even a nickel. We would only bring you up to the next highest step. So if step 1 is $41 and step 2 is $42.50, even though your salary is your hourly rate is closest to $41, we wouldn't bring you down, that we would only bring you up. And we apply that model equally throughout every employee within the city.
Okay, and this is why I asked the question. My two newest officers are currently, I believe they're in the $26, $27 an hour. Under the proposed scale, they would go up to over $30 an hour. And at a $250 an hour increase for both of them, that's over $10,000. So I'm questioning that $8,000 number when just the staff from my own department would put it over that.
I wish I could share my screen with you because I've got the cost modeling up right here with all the different employees. Do you know which employees you're referring to? Because I actually see 1, 2, 3, 4 of your cops that are below the minimum.
Correct.
And the hourly rate that I'm showing for a lot of these is, I was seeing the ones who are below, hold on a second, let me pull up which ones are below that I want here. So the ones who are below the minimum, I'm seeing hourly rates of like 2806, 29. Yeah, there's 3 of them that are 2806, one of them is at 2958 for the hourly rate for these guys. So they're going up, I mean.
But they'd be going to 30-12, which would be a minimum of a $2 an hour increase, which for 2 of them is over $8,000.
I'm not seeing $8,000, sir. I'm seeing $42.78 for these guys. For 2806 up to 3012.
Yeah, that'd be $2 an hour, and $2 an hour times 2,080 hours is $4,000.
Yeah, so it's 8,000.
That'd be over $8,000 for just the 2
Yeah,
guys.
that's, hold on a second, where's the math? All right, so that's
I'm questioning the math.
guys. Oh, crud. That math didn't come through for that. So yeah, actually the amount to bring people to minimum is going to be higher than that. It's actually going to be more like 19,000. That's not going to affect the overall number, which is 52. But there was a formula that can carry through. So yes, just for the cops, it's going to be actually about 10,000, or actually 11,252. Formula got erased for some reason for a couple of those, so I apologize for that. That doesn't affect the overall value of 52,161, but that 19,000, the bring to minimum is now 19,647.
Thank you. I was just looking for some clarity.
No, I think because we're talking on the budget numbers here, that's why I said, I mean, we should take the.
It has to go to budget and finance. Yeah.
My apologies for that. A formula got erased on those, but thank you for catching that, Chief.
Not a problem.
And the other 4 employees that are listed above that need grade changes,
Yeah, similar to what we did with the other employee grade changes.
Okay. But that,
I can't discuss that, so.
well, you can discuss it, you just can't make a decision.
Well, I'll abstain from discussion.
You don't get to make a decision anyway.
This is using the old scale.
Yeah,
Or
the same,
the,
the same scale everybody's on
yeah.
to kind of, because we only did it on some of the employees, and we went to the wage study, it's like, well, you have to have it done for all the employees to make sure. it's like-
Right. But these employees, this 4, is that in the 19,000?
No.
No, that's not, I didn't cost that one out because I wasn't sure if we were going to be doing that. But that's basically just putting people, I didn't know where you wanted to put them on the existing scale.
Because of the job descriptions, basically.
Yep. What I did then was I used the Springstead model you have currently and just kind of went through and evaluated all the jobs.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question? Something Belinda and I were talking about, sorry.
That's
All right,
okay.
And I told her to bring it up because she wasn't.
You only get one more.
I probably got more than one, but, Mark, is there any reason why we would have a 20-step scale when our highest paid employee is only at 18? And I know that's not the scale you proposed, but it seems silly to me that we would even go to step 20 when there's no employee pointing at step 20.
Great.
Or grade 20. So it seems like we're more on an 18-step scale than a 20,
Great.
just from a,
Yeah. Chief, I got no answer for you. I have no idea.
okay.
Again, a 20 grade structure is something you'd see with a fairly large city. And sorry, you guys don't have enough jobs really to do that.
I mean, I think that helps to alleviate some of the confusion if we shrink the ones we don't need.
Yeah.
No, there was an argument to fit that's the grades, I see that, it's just that because of the budget number, I think that's, needs to go to budget and finance.
Yeah.
Maybe Linda could come up with a cost figure for the 4
And bring it to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Sure.
to budget and finance and the next meeting.
Okay. Yes, Katie?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, so I deal with a lot of numbers and data, and so a lot of time data is kind of like garbage in and garbage out. So does your market analysis deal with factors like movement of people when they're getting employed different places? Because we have a lot of generational families that live in this area, and there typically isn't very much movement, either in town or out of town, with the exception of Tarik. But people pretty much stay around here, and there isn't much movement within the city administration itself. So does the market analysis take that into account, and then also the current job market? Because in the IT industry, we're seeing a lot of people being laid off, and there being excess people for the jobs that are available, which would imply that you would keep wages the same and not raise them.
Let me answer the second part first. So the layoffs in the IT area, this isn't going to take into account quite yet. That normally will take place. Any effect on salaries will take place probably 6 to 9 months after you start seeing layoffs. So it's a lagging factor, and it's going to. I mean, that may very well happen, but we're not seeing that quite yet. And as for the first question, does the market analysis take into account people that are moving or that are very long-term in their jobs? It really doesn't. One of the reasons why we're looking at making these comparisons to these cities is we want to have cities that are comparable to you. And what I've seen is a lot of times in cities, there isn't a lot of movement. People generally tend to get into some places and will stay within public sector by and large. So that's why it's important to choose comparison cities that are like you. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing that and saying, all right, here's what the market is for these jobs. And what does this look like? So we're not getting garbage. We're getting good comparisons. Is it going to be perfect? No, it's not, which is one of the reasons why we want to have at least 4 or 5 data points for each job so that we get enough information there to really draw conclusions. And if something looks off, and we're able to either delve into it a little bit more or remove it and put it in the spotlight area so that it's not affecting the overall analysis. And it is not garbage, it is good data to use. And I feel very confident in what we've gathered.
And Neil, to answer your question, and I know you guys allowed Glenn to do this, but you're looking at, for those 4 people, you're at about a $15,000 to $19,000 increase. It's about $8 an hour, $8 to $9 an hour across the board for those 4 employees. I did the math earlier.
Well, before we decide what we're doing, I guess I'd like an exact figure.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
I'm just giving you the ballpark, so you know.
Close.
Yeah. Well, if we don't have anything more, I guess we're done with Mark.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Thank
thanks a
you.
lot, Mark.
Any more?
Thank you so much, have a good day.
Yeah. I don't think at this time we need to do a motion on anything if we're going to refer it to budget and finance.
Yep.
So, in that case, we'll move back up on the agenda to our Board of Appeal and Equalization. By the way, our meeting's tomorrow night, guys. Both of you tomorrow night.
Here, I was just early and excited.
We can move it from last week, so, because I wasn't here. All right. I'm trying to get to the top of my agenda. And I can't do it the right way because I'm inept. So,
You're doing great, good job. Keep going.
page 3. And it says something about April or March. April. Yes. Since I'm not here yet.
Page 4.
I know, I can't, it takes a while to get all the way up there. I know there's a way to put the page number in and just get to it, but my finger doesn't do that.
Where's Jennifer to tell us where to be?
She doesn't do our meetings anymore. She'll be at the one tomorrow night, though.
Well, it looks like we got 4 people
We're already trained, yes.
trained, and that's enough to
That's plenty.
have the meetings. I'll make a motion, set the 2023 Local Board of Appeal and Equalization meeting on Thursday, April 13th, 2023 at 6 o'clock.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made by Neil and seconded by Megan to have the Board of Equalization meeting on Thursday, April 13th at 6 o'clock. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passed. Next thing on the agenda is our 3-year contract for our audit.
Yep, this contract, the previous contract also was a multi-year contract, so nothing unusual here. They are going up every year as they have been, so the rates are listed for the coming 3 years, and it's just a renewal contract.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the 3-year contract between the City of Painesville and Schlinner Winter and Company.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
The single audit, if we don't need it, is there any reason to do it?
No,
No.
and we don't get charged.
So we only want to do the single audit when we have to.
Right.
Says when required on
When we're
that thing.
required. It's usually a grant or government something.
Yeah, it doesn't happen every year,
No.
so that's why they put it on separate.
I guess this would be the field for a young person to go into. The increase in 22 is 2,150, 23, 3,800, and 24, 4,300. Will it ever end?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. All right.
But I'm happy with the work they do, and we've had other auditors.
We have.
I talked to little Belinda, and she recommends we stay with them.
She likes working with them
Yep.
after she's worked with other auditors. Okay, the motion's been made by Megan, seconded by Paul, that we have a 3-year agree to a 3-year contract between the City of Painesville and Schlender, Winter and Company. All those in favor?
Aye.
Got it. Okay, I guess the next one has something to do with Ron.
Okay, thank you. We do have one section of old clay tile sanitary sewer out there, and that runs from the high school over to the Burr Street, Circle Pines area. Not into the street, but just off of that. The biggest problem there is I&I. We get massive amounts of water infiltrating into the line there. And Public Works, we looked at this and figured the best option for us is to line it. We had cambered it previously, and we can line it all except there's about a 60-foot area way on the high school end that does need to be replaced. We did obtain some quotes for that, which they are in the agreement. The agreement was reviewed by the Public Works Committee, and also the school has reviewed it, and they have approved it. How we're going to pay for this, obviously the school would pick up half the cost, and the city would pick up half the cost also, and our portion would come out of the sewer, or the sanitary sewer CIP fund. Chuck, do you want to add anything else on that?
No, I think that covers it. So we did get 3 quotes for the lining, and the low quote is in there. And we sent out to several companies for the correction where they have to excavate, and we only got 1 quote back. And
I have a question for you. Is the area that's going to be worked on, is that on school property? Or is it part of city property too?
No, that is, it's pretty much entirely on school property, but we will start the lining at the intersection of Burr Street and Circle Pine. So that portion will be on city property, yes.
All right. Thanks for the clarification.
Do we have a motion for the agreement?
I'll make the motion to approve the agreement regarding sanitary sewer rehabilitation between the city of Painesville and Painesville area schools, each paying $39,154.95.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I just mentioned, I mean, Neil did the math on the exact bid. Sometimes the bill in the end can vary depending on what comes up during the project. Might be better if the motion said the school will pay half, the city will pay half, because there can be some variation above or below the bids depending on what happens.
Do you need to rescind?
Correct?
Yeah, just make it 50-50.
We haven't voted on it. Redo it. Okay. So we have a motion from Neil to approve the agreement regarding sanitary sewer rehab between the City of Painesville and Painesville area schools, seconded by Megan. Then the cost to be split 50-50.
With the school.
With the school, yeah. The agreement's with. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That passed. Next, must be time to talk about downtown water drainage.
All right, thank you. Yes, Public Works Committee has looked at this here, and obviously it's still a number of years out. 2027 is when we currently have a plan. But one of the biggest things is what are we going to do with our stormwater? Currently, we have pipes there that go directly to the river. There is no treatment in this area. And obviously, being downtown, that's probably one of the areas where we have the most sand and contaminants. So we looked at what can we do at this time. We would like to entertain a study by Bolton and Mink in the amount of, I think it was $9,900. And they would delineate the watershed, develop some hydraulics there, and throw out some options. Is it a pond? Can we do some type of infiltration? At this point, I guess I'm not going to say it. I'll leave that up to the engineers. But we all feel it is a great idea. We need to try to control our runoff and protect our waters as much as we can. And I guess that's the idea here, get the jump on it, because we know there is some grants out there for some of the items, which which we would propose, so if we have a long enough lead time, we should be able to get in line for it.
Is this money coming from the sewer?
Okay, funds for this would come out of the stormwater utility.
That's what I thought. Okay. Is there a motion to do the study and to pay for it? Somebody.
I'll move to approve the downtown drainage study to be completed by Bolton Mink in the amount of $9,900.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? Questions? Okay. Motion to approve the downtown drainage study to be completed by Bolton Mink in the amount of $9,900. Motion was made by Megan, seconded by Neil. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Okay. The next item was pulled from our agenda for future, and we have off our update some transfers from Fund 110. and
Yes.
Water Fund and Sewer Fund.
When we redeemed the bond last year early, we should have transferred it to the general fund right away, but we didn't, so now we're looking to transfer from the water fund $20,000 and $29,000 from the sewer fund back to the general fund. And again, this is because of the early redemption of the bond.
You know, there's leftover funds. I thought they went back into water and sewer funds. General fund is better. Okay, do we have a motion to transfer $20,000 from the 110 water fund and $29,000 from the 115 to the general fund? Effective in December. No.
So moved.
Paul? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Megan? Motion was made by Paul, seconded by Megan to transfer $20,000 from the water fund and $29,000 from the sewer fund to the general fund effective December 31st. All those in favor?
Aye.
That passed. Moving on. I'll go back to my front page. Okay, our special council meeting retreat.
This is the meeting where I suggest we hold it at the Historical Society. So we have a few dates here in March. I know we weren't sure early or late March, but Jennifer gave us several options.
I think it's through the lease.
All 90, that's page 98.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Is there a fee to have it at the,
No.
no fee? And we'd have to cater lunch?
Yep.
And there'd be a lunch expense no matter where we go.
Where?
March 9th, that's the day on the hill, if anybody's going to that.
I think
Correct?
one, maybe two. Okay, so maybe two then we'll go.
Yeah, because Bill will probably go.
And Sean and Megan might go. Me.
What was that again?
March 9th is the day at the Capitol.
So let's not schedule it there.
All right, so, I mean,
Anything else is good with me, anyhow.
Once I get to March.
Same here.
Okay. Well, I know Wednesday, well, it's during the day though. Monday doesn't work for me. I have to pick up the grandson. So, okay.
no problem.
I'd make a suggestion that we go later on in March, that way we can discuss what we talked about at the Capitol.
Yeah. So we have Wednesday, the 29th, or Thursday, the 30th.
Either one's fine with me.
First piece. Works for everybody? Either one, or
It's too far out, I can't even.
your calendar doesn't go that far?
It does, but it's showing blank. So I guess that must be all right.
Well, I think there's 5 Thursdays or something in
Yeah,
March.
oh, yeah. 5 Thursdays.
Yeah.
So if you want
And
to-
5 Wednesdays too, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So there wouldn't be any regular meetings those days?
March 30th, you have a safety meeting at 8:15 a.m.
We're not meeting till 9. Okay, I need a motion from somebody. Pick a date.
I'll make a motion to set the special city council meeting retreat for Wednesday, March 29th, from 9 to 4 p.m. at the Historical Society.
I'll second.
And a second by Megan. Okay, motion to set the special council meeting retreat for Wednesday, March 29th, 9 to 4 at the Historical Society. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's done. The next item is hold because it's not finalized yet.
Yep.
So tomorrow, Megan, 7 a.m. One more time.
See you there.
Well, Gene, we're relying on you there.
You're relying on me to change the time of the meeting, aren't you?
I have no say in that.
Okay,
I'll stand behind you, Jean.
all right. We're gonna fight for it. All right, we have water and wastewater license, the MOU for the wage adjustment that you guys negotiated.
All right, since Sean's not here, I'll give you the quick update. As we agreed to with the union when we did the last wage adjustment where we moved the public works up to grade 8 and we made everybody the same grade. There was also a concern about, and some other cities have done it as well, where different certifications, they get a different incentive or pay increase, 50 cents, $1, something like that, extra per hour, if they have these certifications as a way for them to achieve it. And we looked at the two in particular. There's water and wastewater, and within water and wastewater, there are also 2 certifications that we'd like them to get. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Ron, is the first level is D, and then if they pass that, they can move on to C, which of course is more training, more another test, et cetera. Once they get certified, they need to maintain it or move up. So when we were discussing this with the union, the recommendation was that obviously we want to put more emphasis on them achieving level C. That's where we want them all to be. So we are recommending a 25 cent per hour for each of the water and wastewater, 25 cent per hour if they get to level D, and 75 cent if they, additional 75 cent per hour if they get to level C. So on wastewater alone, that's $1 per hour extra if they have the C level, and same with the wastewater. And Ron, maybe you can address the timing, because I know that you need to be employed a certain time before you can take D, and then working a certain time as well before you can take C. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. You need 1 year experience before you can take the D or an equivalent college credits, and 2 years for the C.
Yeah, so I mean, for a new employee, they can't get there right away unless they're bringing their certifications along with them. So at a maximum, if an employee has level C water and wastewater certification, they will get $2 an hour extra. That would be the maximum.
Does anybody have any questions?
And this is for our 4 full-time employees.
Yes.
It
It affects,
has C on both and C on water. So he'd get $1.25 and the rest would get $2 because they are all C on both.
that's correct. Yep.
So with that, I'll make the motion to approve the MOU for water and wastewater wage adjustments effective January 23, 2023. Is that not correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, that's a
The
typo.
table there on 22. but It would be starting January 23rd of this year. funding for this is, I believe, we talked about that a little bit too, to come out of water and sewer funds.
Yeah, it will not be from the general fund.
Correct.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry, how many employees does this affect?
4 employees, 3 of which have C on both,
Okay.
1 has C and D.
And one probably won't be any other.
Fair enough.
Okay, so the motion's been made and seconded to approve the MOU for water and wastewater wage adjustments effective January 23rd, 2023. It was made by Niels, or no, it was, yeah. Neil and seconded by Megan.
No.
No, I did have it written down right.
I'm just asking questions.
Second guessing myself. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, that's it. And the final item on our agenda is off our update on the airport grant. We have money, or we can get money?
Oh, there's a slight change to it, wrong
Oh.
with you guys. Oh, okay, Chuck.
Yeah, in your packet is an amendment to our grant agreement. This pertains to the hangar project that was completed a couple years ago. We've actually been waiting for the FAA and MnDOT for quite some time, so this is a positive step. Since the final cost of the project varied slightly from the original grant request, they do an amendment. Basically, it increases the federal cost participation by $1,733 as shown on the amendment. We also have sent a request to see if it does modify the state as well, because right now they didn't change the state's participation. And if they did, it would only equal slightly under $100, so it's not a huge, it wouldn't be a huge adjustment. So basically, yeah, this just adjusts our grant amount and allows the federal government to pay additional funds. They pay 90% of the project, so they owe the city currently $108,964. So it'd be good to get the finalized.
Yeah. All right. We have a motion to approve amendment number 1 to the MnDOT grant agreement.
I'll move to approve amendment number 1 to MnDOT grant agreement number 1035134.
Second.
Any more discussion? Questions? Okay. Motion's been made to approve amendment number 1 to MnDOT grant agreement number 1035134. Made by Megan, seconded by Neil. All those in favor? Aye. That's it for business. Now we just have informational. We have a need for vibrant letter and planning and zoning training. Only 5 of the 11 persons signed up took the free training. Who is in total?
You want me to point fingers?
I took it.
No pointing fingers, but
No
some
pointing
people
fingers.
did not take it.
That'd be neat.
Some people forgot and will attempt to take it in papers.
Excellent. And then on our update, we have our February and March meeting schedule. If there's nothing else out of order, welcome back, Chief.
Thank you.
And we are adjourned.
All right.